I think we need to look at why social media strategy is still so important, is because we know consumer behavior is changing. We know humans are inherently social, and as a result, the usage of social media has actually increased, because during lockdown, people have been craving social contact and staying socially connected through social media. And then what we've also seen is that businesses are changing in the way that they conduct themselves. The way brands deal with the crisis now will have a direct impact on its business in future, and consumers are looking up to trusted brands to provide them with safety and security while delivering value, act responsibly, and do the right thing. And we know that the Fair Trade Network and Fair Trade businesses are positioned for these reasons to really leverage on social media in the current situation. So we're really thankful for the opportunity, and I'm going to hand over to EAD Africa Digital. Lizanne, you can introduce yourselves. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you very much for the opportunity also to present today to the Fair Trade Network. We obviously very much appreciate what you guys are doing for responsible tourism in Africa, and we very much are keen to support you in that process. So it's a privilege for us today to be able to chat to some of your members and just share where we are right now, share our insights, what's working, what's not working, and just share what we've been learning over the past 7-8 years and make it applicable to the times we're in. I'm also introducing Jante, which is one of our account managers at the team. Jante, thanks for being here today. And welcome. At the end of the session, we'll have a time for questions and answers, which Jante will filter for us. So if you would like to make some notes, or on your screen, there's also a place for Q&A. You can let your questions come in so long as we go through the webinar. I would like us to just have a quick agenda for today, that everybody knows what to expect from the next hour. I will quickly introduce EAD Africa and what it is that we do. Then I will guide you through some social media stats from the last few months, so we can see why we're saying what we're saying and what is this all based on. Then we will show you the buyer cycle, and just keep the logic of that cycle in mind again with social media. And then a few examples on social media content we suggest you use, video, and then lastly, how we think you should grow your mailing list via social media during these few months we're in right now. The second part of the webinar will be a bit more related to your website and how you can link your website and your social media with each other, and use it to remarket to people that visit your website and also your social media, to make that whole process more interactive and connected to each other. We'll also show you how you can grow your mailing list via your website during these few months, and how you should install your Facebook pixel for optimal results. And thereafter, we'll do the Q&A. Let's quickly start off with our team. EAD Africa Digital has been founded in 2013. We have clients based over Southern and Eastern Africa. In our team, you'll find a varying degrees of skill sets and backgrounds. Some of our team members have BA degrees in journalism, some in marketing, some have postgraduate degrees in marketing. The skill set ranges from Google Ads, tracking implementation, right to professional copywriting for your SEO. So we really cover everything that you can possibly need to make sure you look good online and you direct people to your own website for direct bookings. Our customers and clients are based over Southern and Eastern Africa, and we're very happy with the results we're achieving for them. Last year, before the outbreak of this massive pandemic that we're finding ourselves in right now, we helped our clients to have over 23,000 direct bed nights sold through their own websites, which means no commission paid on any of those bookings. And we're very happy to keep growing their online and direct bookings for them through their own websites. What we very much work in partnership with Spring Nest, which many of you may know. They're a web development platform based and focused solely on tourism. So some of the examples on this webinar will come from Spring Nest and the way they handle their websites for their travel and tourism clients. But obviously, any of the samples and suggestions, you can also ask your own developer to build into your site. So where are we right now? What happened with social media during lockdown and during this time of travel restrictions? 3 things we'll focus on is it was very clear that there was a massive craving for social connection. And also obvious that people thus, in a big way, went to social media to try and connect with others during these months of lockdown. In the second place, we think it's very important that you engage with your potential guests now to gain mindshare while so many people are spending more time on social media. It's a massive opportunity for you to do that right now. And then in the third place, the best way we think you can make the best use of this period is to grow a mailing list via your social media and then be ready for when the markets start to recover. So let's look at the first point, the craving for social connection. Here are some stats that was gathered from Hootsuite. They're a social media platform, more of a tool to be able to schedule your post and make sure everything goes out at the right times on all your different platforms. And what Hootsuite told us that there was globally a 47% increase in the use of social media. That's almost 50% on average that people spend more time on social media because of this craving just to reach out to other people. In South Africa, we saw the average was an increase of 50%. In Brazil, it was even higher at 58%. Spain, they saw 47%, Italy 45%, Canada 43%. But on average, a global increase of 47% in the time spent on social media. This is significant, and it's a massive opportunity to share your content to all of these new markets that are now spending all of this time on social. What we think is important, though, is also that only 17% of these people expect to continue spending so much more time on social as soon as the markets start to recover and they're going back to work and life goes back to a more normal kind of flow than what we have been seeing in the last few months. So that means it's definitely a golden opportunity these few months to have a bigger crowd and a bigger reach on social media, just because there are so much more people spending time there. The second point is, all right, so there are more people on social media now, but why would you want to reach out to them now if you're not sure when you are going to open, when travel restrictions will be lifted, and when your own lodge will be open to take bookings again? Is it not premature to reach out to people on social media now? In our opinion, it is not, because of the buyer's cycle. It is very important with anything that you do on social media and in advertising in general to remember that people don't, for the most part, make a decision to book with your establishment in an instant. It takes them time and weeks to develop and mull about the idea. You'll see at the top of the buyer's cycle, you will send out content on social media to inspire and help your potential guests to dream. And you'll see, so they'll see something else from you again a week or two later, and they might dream some more. They might then start to consider it, discuss it with their family, with friends. Maybe even if they're going to a developed stage, they might compare your rates, research the area a bit. So all the while, this idea and this inspiration is growing in them as you're sending out more and more content They see the different aspects of your establishment and what you're offering. And in this way, you're helping them to you inspire them, you help them to dream, and you grow in the cycle of your brand development. At the right time then, if you follow up with them, maybe with a mailing list, sending them an email, they might only then be ready to commit to a plan and then book to you. So it's important to remember this cycle. It's not just show one image on social media, put out one offer, and then suddenly people just book. It's a longer process and a process of inspiration and dream building. So because of this buyer cycle, what type of content do we suggest you currently put out on social media? Important, help people to dream. Help them. Most people are currently feeling pent up. They are at home, they can't get out. If they can get out, it's only for short, quick distances. There's definitely a big need for vast open spaces, going hiking in the mountains, going to the beach. And if you have any of those close by, we would definitely recommend that you post images of those and tell people how, just plant that seed again of how wonderful would it be to be out here again soon, even if you can't do it now. So important to acknowledge the fact that you know they can't visit you now, but start, just plant that seed of how wonderful would it be if you can do this again soon. You also want to inspire them for the future. Maybe you can post content if you're a safari lodge of the game drive and the animals that people could see. Beautiful images of your lodge at sundown and people around a fire, maybe on a horse riding trip, maybe in a game drive and viewing wildlife. All the types of things that people long for now, being out in nature, experiencing something with their loved ones, the type of future that they want to envision for themselves and grow towards during these months when they can't actually get out there. The type of content and the images we suggest you put out should definitely not be images of the virus and the pandemic and stats and all the other things that are currently building anxiety among many people. So keep it light and beautiful and inspiring. Maybe images of a beach, of trees, exterior of your lodge. Definitely keep it with beautiful sunsets, maybe your pool, maybe wildlife in your area. If you're in the winelands in South Africa, maybe glasses of wine and people having a good time together, the type of things that people are missing right now. The type of content and the text and the content, we think you should keep it to activities, exterior of your lodge, your friendly staff, something like we live for our guests and we're already planning for your return. Nature being adaptive and resilient, maybe inspirational quotes, the interior of your lodge, and animals again, as we've said. The type of light and entertaining inspirational content is definitely what you should be doing right now. We also want to definitely highlight the use of video. What we often do for our clients is create videos, even just with still images from their lodge. If you don't have the budget to have a videographer come in or drone footage being taken, you can create wonderful videos just with a video tool that you can find many free versions online, that you can also add some captions on at the bottom to create a little story of your lodge and take them through the experience, what they can expect when the travel bans lift. And a video is a fantastic way, especially if you can add music to it, that you can help people to dream and inspire them for the future. Video also gets much better awareness and engagement on social media, and the bigger the group of people that engage with it, the larger the number of retargeting audiences you can build. So showing a video post is much better than just showing a still image post. So if you have to do only one thing on social media during this time, is create 1 or 2 or 3 videos and show those videos on your social media. If you can at all spare any budget, we will definitely recommend that you also put some ad budget behind those videos, because it just exponentially increases your reach and then grows the type of people that you can target again later. In the third place, we think you should also be using your social media during this time to grow a mailing list that you can retarget to as soon as the markets start to recover. How would you go about that? It is important to remember that you won't be wasting your time at all. Whatever you do during these few months, and growing a mailing list especially, is a valuable longer-term asset. Remember that everybody that signs up for your mailing list will be on that list for months and years to come. So it's a very valuable thing that you can do right now, and you can remarket to this list in the future. But especially for the next few months, whoever signs up for your mailing list now, you can retarget with post-lockdown offers. So very important, if you can get people to sign up via social media and send out something in the lines of be the first to know about our post-lockdown offers, and then send them the first mailer, and as soon as you are able to take bookings again, send them out that mailer, you will definitely get a very good result from those emails. Sorry. Okay. Still for too long. So how do you grow your mailing list via social media? I think it's very important when you do this to always keep the digital marketing funnel in mind. If you take a look at the top part of the funnel here with the yellow and gray areas, this is where you typically get your Facebook engagements and Instagram engagements. So this is where you have your videos, you have light engaging content, and there's absolutely no commitment asked. You just show beautiful content and people like, and they might comment and they might share, but it's easy and light and nobody feels any pressure on that level. But then definitely everybody that engaged, you want to retarget them later and also send them to your website. So you want to add a link to your website and maybe entice them to learn more and then send them to your website. And hopefully on your website you have enticing offers and you can lead them to book directly with you, which then leads to a bed night sold via your website. But important, we think also is a very good place to grow an email campaign. So everybody that is engaging with your content here on social media is also already interested. They already know about your brand, they're already considering it, they might be discussing it with their friends already. And if you can retarget everybody that has been engaging with your content with a post saying sign up now for our email and sign up to get post-lockdown offers, you grow your email list, and then via your email you can send them to your website for that direct booking. We often see that via social media alone, we don't convert that many bookings through our website. But if you use your social media to get people engaged and interested in your brand, and then send them via an email campaign to your website, the results are much better. But important to consider, it doesn't help that you have a lot of engagement at the top of the funnel and it's the wrong kind of people. So when you're putting out your post at the top of the funnel, if you're doing this organically, it's a bit different because then you have to kind of hope for the best in a sense of who sees your content. But if you're going to run a few targeted ad campaigns, you have a lot of influence over your target audience and who actually sees your post. So your target audience and your ideal customer is found here in the center of these overlapping target audiences. This center and the circle here in the center of these audiences represents your ideal client. So the better you can target your content and the better the targeting that you can set up on your Facebook business accounts, which also show to Instagram, the better the chance that the people right at the top of your digital marketing funnel will also be interested to go down the funnel, go to your website, and also book later. So it's important to keep your targeting as fine-tuned as possible when you are putting out these posts and when you're putting out an ad campaign. The 4 different areas that we focus on most is your interest targeting, behavior, geographic interest, and then also lookalike audiences. Interest targeting is something that is the most obvious, and if you have a Facebook Business Manager account, there are numerous different ways of targeting people according to their interests. So interest could be they're interested in safaris, in beaches, they might be interested in ecotourism, in responsible travel, in cultural travel, a vast array of interests that you can select. But only selecting interest does not bring you very far. You have to also combine it with behavior targeting. There's a lot of people that are interested in something, but will never ever go on a trip to actually experience that. So you want to also filter people according to their behavior online. Do they only engage with content? Or are they the type of people that also click through to your website? Are they the type of people who also actually travel? Are they actually in market? Maybe they're researching for flights. Maybe they're researching for other similar kind of travel opportunities like you're offering. And Facebook then targets those people according to their behavior and gives you a much higher likelihood of actually creating and finding the right audience that are all interested, but also show the right kind of behavior to actually book later. Geographic interest is also very important. For the most part, if you are based in South Africa and in most countries, you will first off, for the first few months, mainly target only locally. The international market will likely only open again next year, and you need a 6-month window to target those people before they will actually book. So for the next few months, we would definitely recommend that you geographically target only local people, close to your lodge or in the bigger South Africa, maybe only in your province at first, and then later in South Africa. The 4th targeting audience that we often use and which we can highly recommend is a custom audience that you can build on Facebook Business Manager, which is called a lookalike. So this tool enables you, if you have a current mailing list or just the contact details of your previous guests, name, surname, email address, telephone number. Let's say you have 500, 5,000, maybe 20,000 strong list like this. You can pull this into Facebook, and they then try to match those contact details with Facebook profiles of similar people, of those exact same people. It is successful up to about 60% of your mailing list, but which is wonderful that you're not trying to target your previous guests again. What Facebook then does is those people that you've pulled into the system now, they go find you people with similar online behavior, similar interest to those people that are already your perfect customer. So a lookalike audience of your previous guests is something super useful. It is not targeting the same people again, but it brings you exactly the same kind of people and helps you to share your content to them. So if you are targeting all 4 of these groups with your targeting and combining them, the chances are that you're showing your content to the right people, and your ideal target audience right here in the middle are highly likely to see content from your establishment. And if you keep in mind that these people are now seeing your content at the top of the digital marketing funnel, you are targeting the right people, and you can rest assured that in time they will filter through the funnel and turn into bookings later down in the funnel. So how to do this now? You're engaging with the right people, you have your right target audience set up, and now the next step is, okay, what to send out, how to create the social media post, and how to get people to sign up and become part of your mailing list. So the examples here are from some of our clients that we've done something similar for. So keep in mind that people have now been engaging with their content for a few months. we've got an audience that are very interested, already know the brand, and now we want to entice them to grow and sign up to this client's mailing list. So then typically we would create a carousel post like this. So these are the first 2 posts, and then there will be 3 or 4 more that you have to swipe to the right to see. And there's an enticing offer coming up, and the call to action is then sign up. So if somebody on social media sees this post, they will click sign up. From your side, you would have linked it to your MailChimp account. And as soon as people sign up, they give their contact details, their mailing list, they submit the form, and they become part of your mailing list. And then if you prefer, you can automatically send them a mailer from your MailChimp account or a similar account for mailings that you use. That first message, obviously, that the mail that you send out is very important, but we will get to that later. Another option might not be a 3-night and stay 3 nights and pay for 2. You might also have a discount that you want people to sign up for, and the same might hold true with a different kind of post. So people have now signed up, and now as soon as they are part of your mailing list, you will in all likelihood send out an email to them. So the email that they will receive from you will look something like this. Ideally, you should create a post-lockdown offer. You might not even be able to take bookings right now or know when you're going to be open, but just let them know as soon as lockdown ends, there will be an offer from you. So you plant that seed in their minds already. What we definitely see is that potential guests are more likely to book accommodation if you have sent them a mailer. It's as if they feel safer via their own email than just booking directly through social media. And often you have to send the same mailer or the same offer 2 or 3 times as a reminder, and then people sometimes only react a bit later. So to summarize, the key takeaways from this first part of the webinar is that social media is a fantastic way to use this period that we're in right now, because people crave social connection. There's a lot more people on social media, so you should try to make the most of these months that we're in. In the second place, you should use your social media to increase mind share. That means you should grow your brand in people's minds, help them dream and inspire them during these months as much as possible, because it will be better for you later on then, and you'll be ahead of your customers later. In the third place, we recommend that you use social media during these months to grow your mailing list and have them an engaged target audience, people that already know your brand, and be ready as soon as the markets start to recover. The second part of the webinar is now going to focus a little bit more on your website and what happens on your website when people land there, and how you will connect that to social media. And because we work so closely with Spring Nest, many of the examples are from them, but please keep in mind any of the examples can be created by your own web developer as well. So the stats we got from Spring Nest, and which have over 700 tourism websites using their platform and their template, is that from February to March this year, they saw a 25% drop of website users on all as a general average over these 700 websites. From March to April, there was a further drop, another 43% drop in website users. So things definitely went down. Nobody was spending time on travel websites. But already from April to May, I started seeing a 17% increase again. So even just, not even during June yet, but from April to May, we see that the feelings are changing, and there's a different momentum in the market. Even if people aren't booking yet, there's definitely the interests are growing again and people are considering again where to go, when to go, and researching. An interesting statistic that we saw in February, from February to March, is in some cases some of the websites dropped even further, 40% from Feb to March. But even in cases like that, if the client was active on social media, we saw their social media traffic increase by 7%. So even though there was a general downturn in web users, the social traffic went up. So it just goes to show you that social media is very important. If anything is going to happen during these months, it's probably going to do so via social media. So when thinking about your website and what people find when they go there, just consider the reality. Your website visitors are not who they used to be. They are still interested. They're going to go to your website, but things have shifted for them. And in which ways? Remember that you have to now align yourself to what your visitor is going to expect. They probably are going to feel different now about money and safety. In the first place, can they afford to actually travel and visit you? Safety-wise, is it going to be safe for them? Are you doing everything you can for health and safety measures? And is that communicated? So they do intend to travel, but they're unsure of when. The booking intent is definitely still very fickle, but there is interest. And the better you can calm people and make them feel at ease, the better it is going to be for the experience of your establishment. So the first objective is going to be how to craft your message when people land on your site. What is going to be important to say? We think it is very important to be clear, be optimistic, and be honest. What's going on? So if you're not open yet, we definitely recommend that you speak in an inviting and warm voice. It won't be recommendable to have a pop-up screen that says we're closed. That just like close the door for somebody that's experiencing you as well. I want to say we can't wait to welcome you back, and we accept future bookings. Something in that regard. You might also say we are open for business travel bookings if that is the case, and speak to us about exclusive discounts and corporate offers. That tells people where you are, and it makes it clear. They don't have to wonder and reach out and contact you to ask. You just tell them and be optimistic and honest and clear about what is going on at your establishment right now. Then it's also very important to, in some way, acknowledge the health and safety measures that you're putting into place. The SpringNest platform have built something for all of their users, kind of a standardized tips on health and safety and stuff that are going on and should be going on and established at your lodge. But this can definitely be replicated, and your web developer can build something similar for you. We do recommend that you actually make a whole page for this, that people can go to this page and read what you're actually doing. And this helps a lot to communicate your protocol, the specific measures, and help people to feel safe. The second objective on your website then is to take action. What can you actually do when people are now visiting your site? You know that they're not going to book, but what can you actually do to make the most of all of these visitors now starting to visit you again? So once again, on your website as well, we want to emphasize that you should grow your mailing lists and your email marketing list. So if you want to consider a pop-up screen for this, maybe after 5 seconds that people have been on your site, have a pop-up screen like this one. Say something like, be the first to access our post-lockdown offers and packages and offers. This immediately is better than, say, sign up for our newsletter, which might be very boring and dull and have a low sign-up rate. But something like this helps you grow an engaged audience that you can remarket to later. Also, don't underestimate the value of visuals for these pop-up screens. An image like this one and a caption saying Craving open spaces is very valuable at this time. Remember that people are all now feeling closed in, and the craving for open spaces is big. So the kind of images that you put with these pop-up banners are important, and consider something like this. The other action point you should be doing at this point is installing the Facebook Pixel to your website. Some of you may already have done this or know about the Pixel and how it can be used. But for those of you who don't yet know it, we think it's a super important tool and tactic and technical aspect of your social media marketing that many people do not use effectively yet. So the Facebook Pixel is a bit of code that your developer can add to your website. What it does is merely picks up who has been spending time on your website. If your Facebook Pixel, you get this Facebook Pixel in your business account manager. So you have your own Facebook account. There's a Facebook Pixel for every new Facebook account. And this Facebook Pixel is now linked on your website. So every time there's a visitor on your website, the Pixel tracks this and it connects that information with your social media account. So everybody that's been on your website can now also receive messages from your establishment on their social feed. So this includes your Facebook as well as your Instagram social media platforms. So this is a very important link. And everybody that's been on your website, you can retarget for 180 days after they've been on your site. So that's 6 months that you can follow up with everybody that did show interest on your site. So an example of this would be, say on the left-hand side, you have a blog article. Maybe your theme is an unexpectedly romantic honeymoon for adventurous couples. Everybody that's reading that blog obviously is interested in it. I think there's a lot of weddings that had to be postponed, definitely also honeymoons. So this might be a target market that you are actively pursuing for post-lockdown. If you have your Facebook Pixel installed on your website at this point, you can now retarget everybody that did read your blog on their social media. So on the right-hand side of the screen would be a post on Instagram. The post comes from Spring Nest. It might be the name of your lodge. If this was your Safari Lodge's website, this might now be your Safari Lodge's Instagram account. And you can even use the same image so that people will recognize and remember and make that link to an earlier blog they read on your website. And this will then show up in the feed of those people that visited your website. So this is a great way to link your social media with your website visitors and just bring them down into the funnel and keep them in the funnel, keep them engaged, keep them inspired, and send the right offer at the right time to optimize your chances to get an actual booking. If you can make this follow-up offer a discounted offer, a 20% less or 30% less offer, your chances are so much better to actually also convert them via a direct booking on your site. So the key takeaways from the second part of the webinar is, remember to craft your messaging to fit the times we're in. Acknowledge the situation. Everybody is spending time in lockdown or social distancing, but also think post-COVID-19 and start to build a mailing list as far as possible. And also in the second point, make use of this time to gather information about your visitors. Make sure your Facebook Pixel is installed so that you can remarket to these people later as soon as you are able to have a post-lockdown offer. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. we will bring up this screen a bit later again after the questions and answers if anybody needs contact information, wants to reach out to us about anything in the webinar or anything related. But for the moment, let's just go to the questions and answers. Jonte, if you want to lead for us for that.
Okay, so there was one question, Lizanne, that I don't know if you can go back to the slides. It was with the increase in social media, what was the source of the data? But if I remember correctly, it might be the Hootsuite slide.
Yes. That's right in the beginning of the slide. I remember that one. That stats comes from Hootsuite. So they are a social media planning tool. They're based in Canada, and that is for the whole, their whole platform and use. It's not based just for tourism and travel. It's for the social media across board for all industries on Hootsuite, yes.
Then another question I just want to elaborate on that I did answer in the quick question and answer is what video software do we use? So for Mac users, I recommend obviously iMovie. It comes free and already installed. OpenShot, I recommend it for Windows, but it is available on Mac as well. Then the base software that you could use that is free is DaVinci Resolve. However, it's not very user-friendly, but there are a lot of tutorials online on how to use it. And then for both Mac and Windows, if you would consider paid software, it's definitely a Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. But then again, those are available with various tutorials online. So that's basically for video production. And then, Lizanne, another question that just came through was, would there be a copy of the presentation?
Yes, definitely. We're recording this webinar right now, and we'll make it available and send it out to everybody that registered for today. Anna, you're also welcome if you wanted to send it to the greater network. We'll definitely make it available.
Thank you, Lizanne. I also have a question. I'm not sure if you are able to share this detail, but can you give us an example of perhaps one of your clients, how their mailing lists might have grown through the interventions you discussed in the last 3 or so months?
Anna, it was very interesting to see how it differed between different regions and different clients. But I can give you 2 very good examples, maybe 3. One of our clients is based in Mpumalanga. They're a luxury country estate, about 2.5 hours from Johannesburg. And for them, we launched a big campaign involving a video which increased their reach and engagement quite a lot. And we boosted that for about 2,000 Rand to get the word out, and a beautiful video about their lodge to create just entice and inspire, as we've said in the webinar. And then after that, we followed up with the lead sign-up campaign. So we created the posts like I showed in the webinar, enticing people to sign up and become part of the mailing list. And we got it grew with 800 sign-ups. For that campaign, we used about 3,000 Rand specifically to grow the lead signups. So we think for 3,000 Rand, maybe including the 2,000 Rand we spent beforehand to grow the engagement first, it was 5,000 Rand spent to get 800 very engaged and interested users growing their existing mailing with 800 new leads, which we think is very useful. We sold a few of their vouchers already now while they're not open yet, but we also plan to retarget all these 800 new users as well as the 1,500 we grew up with previous campaigns, and send out post-lockdown offers to all of these signups on their mailing list. And we do expect a big response from that as people already know their brand and engage with it. Then we also had clients down here in Stellenbosch that grew less. That was interesting to see how the different clients engaged. we had only about half of the results with clients down here in the Winelands. In the Karoo, we had similar results. It grew with about 500 new email leads with similar kind of budgets. So you don't always get the same result. It also depends how far away a lodge is. Is it perceived as something ideal for lockdown, for post-lockdown? Is it better in summer, in winter? So there are a few things to take into consideration, but the results was good across the board for new signups. And we'll have to see now post-lockdown how many bookings these people and these establishments will get, but they already sold a few vouchers just through this first campaign.
Oh, wow, that's very impressive, actually. And I'm actually not sure how to phrase this question, but in the buyer cycle, you speak about inspire and dream, but at the same time, obviously, and what we've also seen with a couple of our clients, that honest engagement seemed to be really effective in terms of, some of the examples you've showed. This is how we are impacted by the pandemic, by COVID, and this is what we're currently doing. And in order for us to be here when the customer, when they are able to travel, do you think safety measures and safety protocols already have an influence in terms of how people book, in terms of their future bookings? We have some data that shows that it is obviously a very important consideration, but in your experience, is it?
Yeah, I think so, Anna. I think people are looking to brands to make them feel safe and to guide them through this period. So when you're communicating, you should always try to appear as a leader in the industry. So this is what we have already done to make our establishment safe. And this is the protocols we are implementing to be ready for when you return. So you definitely want to appear as not feeling sorry for yourself or, oh, this is so horrible. And that's not what's going to happen. Like, everybody's in this. Everybody's experiencing difficulties, but if you need to go somewhere, go to the places and to the people that are on it, that knows what's going on, they've got their systems in place, they are ready for you. Definitely that does create a sense of safety and that you can trust this brand. And if you have to choose between somebody that's not sure if they're open or where they stand and are they going to open or not open, you don't want to be that establishment. You want to be clear, optimistic, have everything in place, and communicate that. And you don't have to say we're open. You just have to say, as soon as we're open, you can expect all of this. That's definitely what I would recommend.
Lizanne, I have another question here, specifically aimed at targeting international clients, and how would be different to targeting your local clients.
Yeah, so I think there are two important things to consider here. When you're talking to your local clients, you know that they can get to you quite soon. So you need a maximum of a month in advance from the time that they see your content and actually book with you. In general, they would come then within a month. So they can maybe see your content this week, even also next week, and then make the booking a week thereafter. And then actually the actual dates might be a month after that. So you don't need a lot of time to engage with your local customers, and they can come soon. You will also be in the same hemisphere as them and in the same climate and season. So if you are talking about winter right now and fireplaces and commenting on chilly weather, you're in the same mindset as your actual clients and your potential guests. So that's the kind of message you want to bring across. That's the kind of content you want to show to them and say, oh, isn't it cold? Come to our fireplace. But when you are talking to your international potential guests, remember that they are now experiencing summer if they're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're targeting Europe at this point. if you're targeting Australian people and in Southern Hemisphere countries, that is not a big consideration, but you will slightly differ the type of message you bring across. You will say um, the winters in South Africa is not at all as bad as the winters in Canada or the winters up in Iceland, or where somebody might be located and where you're targeting your content to. So even if you wanted to market something with the seasons, just try to keep that in mind. But also your international market tends to book much longer in advance. It is going to be interesting to see how the coronavirus and this pandemic and the opening of international flights actually influences people's behavior. But generally we see that they book 6 months in advance. So if you want them to visit you in March next year, they're going to have to book by September this year, which means your marketing needs to go out in August and July. So remember to keep that period in mind. You want them to be at the top of the funnel a month or two before you actually want them to book at the bottom of the funnel. So that is important to keep in mind with your international target audience.
Lizanne, I've got another question. How successful have voucher campaigns been in your experience?
Anna, we have sold a few vouchers. I won't say it's been a roaring success. There's been a lot of interest, but I do find that the market is a little bit hesitant. I would say for our clients, we've sold in the range of 10s, but not 50s. There has been some vouchers that have been sold, and I think it's worthwhile to go into that process, and it also helps in the whole message that we are going to be here again, we are going to open soon again. We are here, we're doing our best, we're fighting it out, we are strong, and we're keeping going, we keep going. But there's a definite hesitance in the market. I think people are not sure which establishments are going to be here. So in my experience, I think it is worthwhile. Yes, go for it. But I would also suggest that you use this time to grow your mailing list and then be ready as soon as there's a date for availability. I would almost spend this time rather on building an engaged email list. But if you can do both, then yes, it is valuable to have both.
Yeah. Okay.
But something in a different way, I know if you could have a bigger voucher campaign, maybe include your whole district, or say there's a whole Cape Town voucher campaign, or a whole Stellenbosch, or a whole Cradle of Mankind voucher, or all of the fair trade people coming together. Then it's a much surer kind of voucher. People feel that they're buying into something bigger. It's not one large, one establishment not putting through. So I think there will be a better response to a bigger campaign that includes more lodges. So if one of them does not work out, there will definitely be others filling that space. So for an organization, I would definitely recommend it, yes.
Cool, thanks.
So if there are no more questions right now.
No, Lizanne, that's all the questions that I have at the moment, unless there's any other urgent questions, but yeah, that's it.
Just getting the lights on again. Right, I think we can wrap up then. Anna, thank you very much.
No, thank you. I see a couple of our participants have left. I think, this has been extremely valuable. Our clients, we've really faced a challenging time to discern strategically what would be our next actions. And I think this has been extremely valuable just to also see how the industry is faring, and especially some of the practical examples you've provided. It really it's been eye-opening for me as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you to you as well, and thank you for providing the platform and sharing the network with us. I do hope some of it will be very usable and user-friendly for everybody in the network.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we will
Thank you
also
so much.
send out some files that might guide you through creating your content in the months to come, and a step-by-step guide to installing your Facebook pixel if you've not done so already on your websites. So you can look forward to that in the next day or two. Jonte will be sending you some material to make this process a bit easier. So thank you very much, everybody, for being online today, and